afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to Take Stock Live. My name is Sam Evans and I am your host for the next 45 minutes, 50 minutes, maybe an hour. We'll see how long this show goes. But we are here on Facebook Live and it's just gone noon here on Eastern Time as well, 5 p.m. London time. I always mention London time because, as you probably guessed by now, that was where I'm originally from and always will be. I hope you're having a great week so far. It is April 15th as well. We are live, so please, if I see you on the screen right now as well, see Amit right now and anyone else as you come in live, feel free to type questions, responses, comments, and I'm happy to answer them as this show goes on as well. We like to keep this interactive. You may also be looking at this as a recording or just catching part of it later in the show. Remember, all of the archives of Take Stock Live are on here on the Facebook Live page, the StockAbility Facebook page. Also, you can go to the StockAbility YouTube channel as well and see all of the archives on there, as well as lots of extra other mini lessons and commentary on the markets through the StockAbility page. Take Stock Live is brought to you by StockAbility.com. Great show planned for you today as well. I like to keep this as real as possible. One of the things I pride what we do on this show and also in StockAbility is about just keeping trading and investing real and breaking it down to why people do it, what their journey's all about, and how you can take a little bit of charge for yourself as well. There's a whole lot of BS out there. There's a whole lot of confusing stuff out there. And guess what? I don't have time for that. I'm a simple man and I have a simple methodology and a simple approach. And that is exactly what today's lesson and today's topic, should I say, is all about: streamlining and simplicity. Now, I've been involved in the markets for 15 years, 18 years actually, but actually active for about 15 years now, teaching for over a decade. And I sometimes forget that maybe it seems simple to me, but it doesn't necessarily seem simple to the people I'm teaching it to. And with that in mind, I thought, why not hear about a streamlined journey from somebody else? Somebody who, started out, knowing nothing about the market, which is exactly how I did, and how their journey progressed and what they found has helped them. Because 95% of the time when people are struggling to make good investment decisions, good trading decisions, it's because they're making it too complicated. And streamlining is key to enhance that performance. So I'm going to be joined by a StockAbility student, Barbara Raben, in a few minutes as well, who's going to be talking about her journey and also, more importantly, why did she get into this in the first place? And I'm going to really try and invite every single one of you looking at the show right now to think about this. If you are struggling, going through the ups, the downs, beating yourself up, getting confused, always go back to why you wanted to start doing this in the first place. And that's going to give you that bump up of success in the first place. Because too many people, they go, I just want to make money. Guys, there's a little bit more to this than just the money, let me assure you. But guess what? The money does make the world go up and down. Let's take a look at today's news right now. Stocks open strong again and continuing strong throughout the day. By my estimations, S&P 500 just made a brand new high of 4159.25. New highs once again. What can stop this market? I've been saying it and I'll say it again. This thing just wants to keep going up. And today I did buy the market and got in and got out and did my thing as well. Probably got out a little bit too early. But it's all good. We made some money. I can get on to doing more fun things I do in this radio show. But all across the board, stocks looking good. We're going to take a look at those numbers in just a second when we pull up the charts. Apparently, the COVID stimulus checks could really boost retail sales. Oh, wait. You're telling me that the thousands of dollars that most families here in the US received isn't being put aside to pay for bills, isn't being put into their savings account for a rainy day? No, what I hear is that, and according to our sources as well, the Commerce Department on Thursday reported that retail sales soared nearly 10%. I wonder if that's because people have got extra money in their pockets and instead of putting it away for a rainy day, what are they doing? Spending it. I think that's incredible. In fact, a very, very good friend of mine, whose family own a motorcycle parts warehouse. They've had a company supplying motorcycle parts worldwide, typically get, a few hundred orders a month coming in. Every time there's a stimulus check released, their orders go up to nearly 1,000 orders. Okay? Why? Because people have more money. It kind of upsets me really, but hey, there you go. Clearly people aren't that worried about what's around the corner. Me, I still am. But hey, listen, we need a healthy economy. Healthy economy means hopefully a more stable environment for employment for everybody. But again, let's just be putting things into perspective. I'm a bit old school. I like to save for a rainy day. That's just me, not judging on here as well. What else on her? Bank of America tops estimates on strong investment banking. Man, the banking sector has been on a tear today. And actually, I'm going to take a look at XLF, which is the sector we were looking at in our guided trade sections yesterday. A sector ETF, XLF. If I actually just go on over now, right now, so we can actually see this on the charts. Look at the soar in XLF. Let's get this onto a 30-minute time frame so we can see. I've got a new layout for you on the charts today as well. But XLF coming off those lows as well. And the XLF Select Spiders ETF for the financials as well on here, up at putting a brand new high yesterday and still doing well. I know a lot of earnings, all the banks been reporting, Wells Fargo's, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and now Bank of America as well. As I said to you, all of this is hugely helping this market, guys, and obviously helping bump this up. News is good, that's all we need. Coinbase set to jump after a strong but volatile debut. Coinbase had a reference point of $250 per share on its direct listing yesterday. Hit a high of $429, exceeding a $100 billion market cap. Whew. I mean, at the end of the day, it's money just keeps pouring into the crypto realm on here. You know my feelings on that. I think it makes sense to have a little bit of exposure in it. I just wouldn't put 100% exposure in it. That's just my feeling on here. And the CDC panel has delayed its decision on the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccination pause as well. A lot of things up in the air. The one and done vaccine seems to have some teetering and problems along the way. How's that going to affect things? The Moderna's still working out quite good at the moment. So everything is good in that respect. But yeah, again, I think if there's any kind of concerns, we've got to be smart about that, and we've got to make sure that obviously we're not doing anything too crazy in here either as well. So let's go on over to these markets and just carry on taking a look and just give the scores on the doors right now. I'm going to pull up onto the day charts on here, so let's just bring this up for you. Maximizing our day charts. Here's your S&Ps. Like I said today, topped out. New highs today at 4,159 points and 25. I'm smelling 4,200 maybe by the end of the week. The way this market's been going, I would not be surprised. My personal favorite, the Dow Jones. Brand new highs of 33,929, 34,000 I think is on the cards. I'm smelling 35,000 on here. Kind of a decent pullback, but I gotta say, I want to pull back. I'm looking at this area, licking my lips. 33,000 has been our line in the sand, and I think continues to be our line in the sand for this thing. And I gotta say, while this market is above 33,000, I can't see anything else stopping it as well. A big rally into the world of value stocks I'm seeing with our Dow Jones performance on there. The honey badger, as we call it in StockAbility, the Nasdaq, did manage to take out the previous highs this week. Brand new highs on the honey badger of 14,012 points. That tech sector was lagging hard, and just look at the recovery we had on here as well over the last couple of weeks as well. Nothing can really stop that. It's almost like these markets are all getting a little bit back in sync again right now. And then final, the kid brother, the Russell on here, holding its key line. We've been looking at this price here, ladies and gents. If you've been a regular on the show, you'll know that 2,220 has been our line in the sand that we've been looking at on the Russell. And it's holding. I mean, it's holding, but there's a lot of pressure right here. This is the thing I think that was way overdone. Typically, we do see a little bit of a lag in the Russell, being those mid-cap stocks on here. I think there's a good test. And again, the only thing I say that's really kind of just taking a little bit of the wind out of my sails in my bullishness for this market is this whole price region that we have around here. And if I just zoom in on the charts, you can see 2280, 2300. Unless we can get above that area, that could put a significant amount of pressure on this market and bringing us down, I think, for lower lows and lower highs. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world, but a few commentators out there have been saying it looks like there might be a head and shoulders forming. And if that head and shoulders forming, that would take us a lot lower. Again, the rest of the market seems to be dragging the ugly brother up. So the good thing about that is I think that just does bear well. And there are buyers sniffing around that 2200 mark on the Russell as we speak. So again, on a broad market commentary there, don't really see anything to be too concerned about. It looks like it's setting into that kind of pullback territory. But I personally would be looking to buy a little bit lower around this area on here and going with those stronger markets for that upside potential on there as well. Big shout out to Rod. Okay, on here, Amit, Louise, yeah, love to you guys, Louise and Max as well. Thank you for joining us on the show. Lisa Mann, Francis, Pedro, Rosie Mason, all of you guys on here, thank you so much for joining us. The list keeps getting bigger week in, week out. We love it. It makes us happy for what we do here as well. Anything else to take a little look out on it? Let's just go to our market watch on here and some of the other big scores on the doors as well. Crude oil struggling, down 2 cents at $63 today as well. The dollar index flat for the day at 91.68. Gold up $33 today, knocking on the door of 1,800 once again, and bonds up just over a buck as well at 146.1752. That's pretty much it. Again, not really a whole lot going on. We've not really seen any major pushes. Tesla had a monster push earlier this week as well. And we'll look at some of those FANG stocks a little bit later on. But let's just take that down and let's kind of just go on over to talking a little bit more about some other information on here. And what would that be? We just alluded to it, talking about streamlining our trading and investing. Now, I know in that first 15 minutes of the show, I always just go for it and so on. But this is why I like it, because I catch my breath and I get to talk about some other things as well. Thank you for your kind Sly and Amit. Thank you for your kind comments on there. We love you back as well. Thank you so much. This week is all about streamlining. And as I said to you, if you've just joined us, sometimes it's a challenge for me as an individual to actually talk about, my own journey and how I look at the market now, because I've been doing it so long and it almost becomes, rudimentary. So, I like to bring guests on and I like to talk about it with them and how it goes on. And there's a lady who has, joined StockAbility recently as well, who has been, I've seen her confidence go from here to here in her trading and investing. And I wanted to invite her on and talk about it because we chatted on the phone the other day. And I think a lot of it has come down to simplicity. And simplicity is a word I use a lot, if you've ever heard me talking before about this as well. And so I'm really excited to be joined today by a lovely lady here called Barbara Raben. How are you, Barbara?
I'm good, Sam. How are you doing?
Wonderful.
I'm so happy to be here.
Good.
So happy to be here.
You got a great connection, which is excellent there as well. I see some good charts in the back. Those charts almost look like Ryan Watkins specials to me from what I'm seeing on there as well, which I know you're a big fan.
They are, yeah.
I'm such a nerd.
They are,
I see a
totally.
chart layout and I know the coach, Coach Ryan of here. Barbara, you're joining us.
Well, and I write on my walls too.
Fantastic.
I write all over my walls.
Hey, you're getting well with my 3-year-old. He writes all over my walls as well, so it's all good. Yeah. So, Barbara, you're joining us from Nebraska, I understand, correct?
I am, yes.
Excellent. And that's where you reside now as well with your husband, Neil. And we've been talking a little bit about this. And just before we get into this, I wanted to bring you on the show. You've been a real lifeblood, a real kind of fantastic energy in the StockAbility live coaching community. So on behalf of StockAbility, we'll thank you for that firstly as well. But,
thank you.
Absolutely. But, I wanted to ask you as well, and I know that, one of the amazing things when we talked about, why you got into this in the first place. And I want to talk about, your education, all that in just a second. But more important, let's take a step back and let's talk about, what got you in to trading and investing. Is this all you do now? Is it part of your arsenal? How does it fit in with your world and your husband as well? And, tell us a little bit about that, because people lose sight of why they start in the first place for me.
Right. And actually, since the beginning, this is one thing I've never lost sight of, is my why, so to speak, why I'm doing this. It's my husband. He was 20 years military. And then when he retired from the Army, Green Beret, he spent another 9 years in Iraq and Afghanistan training their commandos, basically in the ways of special forces.
Wow.
So
9 years there. Nine
years he was.
Thank you for your service, Neil. And obviously thank you too as well, because you're there supporting him too, right? I think people forget, when you're a spouse of somebody in the military, your service is kind of keeping everything stable at home, right? It's both of you, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes. And for those of you out there wondering, we don't have kids. So I think a lot of people are like, what about the kids? We don't have any kids. Animals, but no kids. So all I want to do is just take care of him. The sacrifices he has made, not only for like us, but for our country. I mean, I just think so many people forget what our military does for this country. I kind of fell, and I've never traded before in my life. Starting 2018, the beginning of 2018, I had to start thinking about a different career because I groom dogs right now, and I've been doing it for 15 years. And it's hard on the body. It's hard on my feet, my back, my hands. And I started thinking, what do I want to do going into my retirement and beyond? So a friend of mine turned me on to OTA, and that's where I spent the first 2 years trading. It was something, and I worked hard. I tried, I did. I just didn't resonate with me. Their system, their way of going about it was so difficult for me.
What were the biggest challenges? What were the biggest challenges you found?
Trying to pick a zone. Honestly, that's
trying
what
to know
it
where
all
to buy
came
and
down
sell,
to.
right?
Where do I buy? Where do I sell? Just pick a zone, and I would pick one, and it would not hit it, or it'd go through it, and it was just frustrating. And I'm a very determined and very hard worker, and I just kept thinking, I've been trying this for 2 years.
Yep.
I still didn't give up. I was still trying to make it work. And then that's kind of how I happened upon StockAbility. Was actually another one of your students told me about you guys. So checked in, started in January of this year, and the leaps and bounds that I have made with StockAbility are just intense. I mean, it's great. And I keep thinking, part of this is so easy. I feel like I'm missing out on something, like I'm not doing it right.
So you're finding it easy that you feel like you're missing out, right?
Yeah. Exactly. The other thing, I mean, going into like the Slack chat, just being able to get in there and put my thoughts down. Like the other day, I got out of a Tesla trade way too early and just wrote down, I stare at 15-minute candles when so many of them turn red. I think I should get out. And Daniel just came in and gave me 3 tips right off the bat. Do this, and this. And it's like, oh, wow, okay. I thought I was the only one that stared at candles. Clearly I'm not.
Trust me, we all do.
It's just, yeah, it's just, I can't say enough about you guys. And I told you this the other day when we were talking on the phone. I mean, the whole team here, you guys, you've changed my life. You're changing my husband's life, which he's very happy about.
Good for him.
So
he's indirectly changed a lot of other people's lives as well. I mean, and I say this, just to get back to things for a second, and the reality of it all. While he's a part of the US Armed Forces as well, that affects everybody as well, what was going on there in Afghanistan, no matter what part of the world you're in as well. So I think any person serving in any military, whatever side you're on, is doing their bit for their country, and they're doing their bit. So I think that everybody deserves respect, don't they, in that as well.
Absolutely.
Just like how servicemen in the UK do as well. I sit on both sides of it, kind of being a product now of both countries, the US and the UK,
Yeah.
So it's, but no, absolutely, it's a great thing. And it's great to be able to do that for him too. And thank you for your kind words as well. And again, I don't want this. It was interesting. I said just before Ed saying there, Ed Shaughnessy saying, keep it simple. Absolutely. And Bob saying, no wonder we get along. Another vet, great. Bob Pellegrin, a great energy in the company as well.
Yeah.
I don't like
him.
I don't want this to become a big pom rah show, for StockAbility. I always say this, we know what we do at the company, and it's all great, and our students are experiencing it, and that's all great and wonderful. But, and thank you for your kind words as well. But let me ask you this as well. And because think about somebody now in your shoes a couple of years ago, or somebody in your shoes now, it gets very challenging too. A lot of people really feel like quitting, I think, don't they, in this business? Because it is a hard business. I'm not going to stand here and say it isn't. I mean, I've been a day trader now for nearly 15 years, and it's definitely the most challenging thing I've ever done. And it's ironic because you said to me it's uneasy and, it becomes enjoyable. But, have you had that point? Because I know from my own experience now, like, I don't really think anymore. I just do. It's like the setups. And now you were in my session yesterday, and I got it horribly wrong on a couple of trades yesterday, but I don't sit there going, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I don't care. It is what it is. I follow the process, follow the setups, and then, end up hitting another one and worked out just fine. Now, how much of it,
right.
I think what I'm getting round to here, how much in your journey have you found it's really not about you, and it's more about just what you do. You know, I mean, how much do you think people get in their way of their own success in this business?
Oh, 100%. I
Yeah.
mean, just you get in your head. And I mean, I do that day in and day out. And then I have to just remind myself, follow the rules. That's why I have things back here, because I can just turn around and look at it and be like, oh yeah, that's right. I remember. Oh yeah, that's right. It's simple. Simple in a sense that, you know, just follow the rules. I start, I'm not gonna speak for everybody else, but I just start looking at it and I'm like, well, the news today was this, so this is gonna happen. And it's like, you know, no, in my rules, it doesn't say read the news and then figure out what the market's gonna do. It says, put your fibs in, look at the candles, stay on your time frames and leave the rest of it alone.
Get out of the way of the process, right? Brian, who's a regular on our show, Brian Dumarescu, Student Momentum Coach, says it's all about the process. Here's a little thing for me. I wobble sometimes. I had an awful day yesterday. I got stopped out and everything, and then I had another one, got stopped out again, and then finally I got a trade and left it, and I managed to make probably about 90% of my losses back, by following my rules. It was fine. And there was at that point yesterday I was getting a bit like pissed off about it. I'm like, oh man, because I'm a funny one, right? I have a pretty good success rate, so when I do lose, I don't like it, right? And I wish, and I sometimes feel like, oh god, and I don't mean that in a funny way. It's like the way I trade. So I get a lot of good trades, but when I get these little runs, I'm like, oh, it's coming. I had a little wobble yesterday, and I was just like, this is what I do. I'm standing here, and I wanted to show everybody on the show here. This is an older photo, but when I feel like I'm about to wobble, and I'm going to break my rules and this is what I have in front of me on my desk here, okay?
Oh.
And this is me, this is my little one when he was 6 months old, right? And I have that on there. And the reason I'm showing everybody that is because I look at him and his little face looking at me. And I'm like, don't be an idiot. He's looking at me like, Dad, you're doing this for me. You're doing this for your family. Don't be an idiot. And I look at my picture there. You do what you do, right? You have to do because you have to have those checks and balances in there as well. That's my little thing. So, some people have charts. If you can see my back wall here, I've just got stuff of me and him everywhere. But, that's what I do. I think you need those checks and balances, right? In there as well. Does your husband get involved with this, or do you talk to him about it? Because I think I've driven my wife mad over the years, Barbara. What about you?
No, I do. I talk to him a lot about it, and I'll tell him, I was doing this and then I did this and then I got out and then it went my way. And he always just looks at me and he says, you know your rules, you should follow them. And he'll say, when I was over in such and such, we had a plan and this is what we did to follow it. And in his world, if you didn't follow the plan then, I mean, you could die,
right.
Or a lot of bad things could go wrong.
Isn't it?
Yeah. But at the same time, you've also got to kind of be flexible and watch what's going on with the markets. So it's kind of I haven't quite found that balance yet where I'm so rigid, I follow the rules, but at the same time, and Daniel really pounds this in a lot. He's like, you really kind of got to just go with the ebb and flow and find that happy medium between following the rules and not, I guess,
Yeah. And that's a great thing.
That's a hard thing to explain to somebody.
I get it. And I have to comment on that because I tell you, and I know you feel like this as well. And anyone listening to the show right now, there are a lot of different ways out there of doing things. I always say, I just teach people the reality of it. And like today, I closed out a trade. I'm going to actually pull this up and show you. And, because you're talking about the ebbs and the flows, right? So today, I'm going to pull up a chart here so you can see this as well, Barbara. I'm going to look at the Dow Jones. So let's go over to the charts here so you can see this right now. And I'll zoom in a bit for you. So today on the market, I bought right near the open. I had something called a transition zone and I was expecting the price to go higher, and it did. I actually put out a video about this, so we'll be able to see this as well in a little bit. And I ended up closing out my trade somewhere around here. I only made probably about 70 points on it as well. And look, this market's gone way higher on here. Now, here's the thing though, to me that was about, it was just under, it was an $850 trade, and it happened in about 7 minutes, right? I'm at a point in my career where I accept that, you know what? Because yesterday I got a trade and I was in here and I was out here and I got all of the move, right? You're not going to
Yeah.
get every bit of every move, and you have to be grateful. And that's one of the things I think that people have this idea like, you got to do this. I could have took a profit here today, and then it could have gone down there, and I'm glad I took a profit. No one really knows. It's a game of probability, right? So you've got to get to a
Absolutely.
point where you're comfortable, right? See there, Bob's saying I'm still in the YM. Awesome. Now, Bob's one of my students, right?
Nice.
That is what I want to hear. Bob Pellegrin right now, still in the YM. Good. Because here's the thing. We can all do things slightly differently, but we can all still be successful. We all have to have a structure. And I think that one of the things I prided myself on when I started this company, and my Dan, you keep mentioning Dan, anybody listen, Daniel Bustamante is one of our lead instructors, co-founder with me as well. Kudos and respect to Dan, he's been a regular guest on the show. We encourage people to find their own way, not to become carbon copies of us. That's why we have a system and a process. You know, because it is hard. How much are you starting to find, Barbara, with the things that you've been taught, that it's number one about acceptance and number two about finding your own way? Can you comment on that?
Oh, definitely the acceptance. Finding my own way. I have really, in the past 3 months, probably learned more about myself and my personality than in my whole first however many years old I am. And you just, it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's not so much for me about like, I want to make this amount of money. It's like, I want to make sure I'm following my rules.
Right.
And when I get out, if it goes way up, then it's like, okay, I'm okay with that because I made what I needed to make. Because in the reverse aspect of it, it could have gone way down and I would have lost everything, that I had put into the trade and stuff. So, but it's hard. It's hard. I did it today on gold. I did it today on gold. I stayed in. I did not look at actually, I did start looking at the 15-minute candles, and then I have on my wall over there 4 hours. I mean, just everything Daniel said, don't stare, walk away, put it to the 4-hour charts. And that's what I did. And I stayed in, and it was beautiful. It worked.
I know Bob Pellegrin, who's in here right now. He and I, Bob, I know you're listening right now, sir. And I know you know Bob Pellegrin as well. That guy has put work in. And the amount of conversations we've had back and forth in our StockAbility live coaching community, because you guys have we all stay in touch. We connect with the students and the coaches. They're in this room, so we get stuff pushed. It's a great way to stay in touch with the students. The moment that Bob's like, I moved my stop. I didn't hold out for my plan. And I said, Bob, you gotta journal it, mate. Keep a track record. And what I'm seeing is, Bob, you're doing a lot better, buddy. You're holding out for your process, because you will start to get a confidence in your system if you do it for long enough. But the problem what most people have is their system is too complicated. And I know that's what you've experienced, right? Just too complicated. I mean, how many steps would you have to make a trading decision before you came and worked with us?
God, 6.
6, yeah.
I mean, and it was never if this, then that. Okay. I never felt like an OTA. It was if this happens, then you do that. And with this way, with StockAbility, I'm able to put that into that if this, then that sentence. And that has been huge for me. That was like over hurdles. I mean, just learning that was huge.
Yeah.
And that's why I said there's so many less steps, if you will, that sometimes I feel like I'm not doing it right, even though it works right, because it compared to what I went through for 2 years and what I've been going through for 3 months, it's night and day.
Do you think it also comes down to, also, I always say this, a lot of people, they scour the internet, they're looking for information, they want to pick up bits and bits, but I always say this, and I mean it in the greatest amount of respect. If you go on a breadcrumb trail picking up breadcrumbs everywhere, all you're going to have at the end of it is a bag of crumbs. Okay? That's it. You're not going to have a loaf of bread, of any real substance, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that, a lot of people make the mistake of not realizing you've also got to develop a skill. Okay? So it's about learning the process, but then developing a skill and a flavor. And I say this, knowledge is one thing. Hey, knowledge is power. Sure. But using knowledge to be powerful, that's a skill. That's honing your craft. Would you agree with that comment?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And with this, with your on-demand courses, I mean, I make note cards, I write on my walls. I'm very lucky in the fact that I own my own groom shop. So it's just
That's
me in
cool.
there. So I can listen to lessons all day long because the dogs do not want to talk to me. So I can just listen to lessons all day long. And my mind, even if it wanders, I mean, it's still coming in. And I think that's really helped me tremendously. If I hear somebody in the GTS say, this is a good looking candle, I snapshot, print it off, hang it on my wall, and I look at that candle. So just this whole streamlining process is, because it's so much information at once and you really have to learn, okay, today I'm just going to focus on this.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'll focus on that. I go back to, and I know you've said this a million times, Ryan says it.
I am a broken record.
Yeah, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I mean,
but look at the progress you've made in just a few months as well.
Yeah.
I tell you, I think one of the questions on everybody's lips is, NS, what are you currently trading? So what are you the most active in right now?
Options.
Did you think that was going to be the route that you would go?
No way, never, Sam. I mean, never. That was one of those things that I looked at like, oh, that's for like really smart people. That's not me. That's for like really smart people.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking, wow, I don't think I'm ever going to trade anything but options. That's how much I love it. That's how somewhat easy I've been able to pick up on it and stuff. You know, Daniel gives us a list of stocks. I've picked an ETFs. I've picked 5 out of there that I just focus on. Even to the point that in our GTSs, when he brings a new one in, I listen, but I don't. Before I would have like jumped in, got in on the trade, and I don't. I listen to what he says, but I focus on my 5.
Right.
And that's really helped. That's helped me to not be all over the page.
You have to. It's interesting as well. Like, so I was put off, and this is a great little conversation. We can go down the route of it. I was put off for years about being an options trader. And, because to me, it just seemed way beyond my mortal mindset. I was like, but I think, again, people make it too complicated. There's a lot of people I meet in this industry who love talking about options, and they posture as academics about it all. And it's like, yeah, but you know what? You pick up dimes on the dollar. Like, you're risking $500 to maybe make a couple of $100, when it's just, the opposite to that, and, a lot of people have been saying this, Barbara, again, that what do you find is every company has to have its difference maker or what it believes is different. One of my key things is, I keep it very real, just we are what we are. But on top of that, one of the things I say to people is and I believe that what we do very well, and I know that you've experienced, is breaking down options to make it so simple, because that is what we do. And, directional options, none of this credit spreads, bear calls. I mean, that has a place in the world of wealth, retirement accounts and iron condors. But for people looking to it, options just gives you so much more leeway to be wrong. That's what I always find. What were you? And again, I Andrea Galetz, I know you know her in our student community. Yeah. Andrea, she's been a predominant options trader as well. Dana Joyce, I'd say, hey Dana, how are you? One of my most dedicated viewers of the show as well, absolutely killing it in options. I think it was like a $4,800 move she pulled out. I noticed in the room just this week. She was posting on here as well. All of you guys are becoming options traders. What I've now found is happening is people are getting that consistency. They're like, I'm willing to try futures again now, but I don't feel like I've got the pressure on me anymore. If I make it work, great. And if I don't. Did you ever trade futures before you got into the options? Like, what did you do before this?
Before this, I did futures. In fact, Dana Joyce and I were in a futures class together at OTA last year. And she's the one that we kind of kept in touch via email back and forth after the course. And then she's really the one that deserves all the credit for getting me over to StockAbility. So I did Forex and I did futures. And the stress level of trying to figure out again where to get in, what zone did I pick that's going to get me in, or is it not going to get me in? Just so stressful for me. I've actually considered, because the options has been going so well, that at some point in the future, I would try futures again. I don't know about Forex, because I think trying to do the options, futures, and Forex is going to be just a little too much for me. So futures, I would try again. In the future, yes.
Nice.
It's kind of taken that bad taste out of my mouth. Doing the options, building my confidence. It's really taken the bad taste out of my mouth from trading futures previously.
You'll enjoy it. I'm getting it as well, and that's how I do now. I mean, I've like I said, I've been slapped around so hard. I think I'm numb to it now with the futures, and I've got my style. But I use very wide stop losses, and give my trades room to go, and that's how I operate it. And it's you have to find that style. But actually, a little tip for you, and I kind of broadcasting this right now, so I might get in trouble saying it, but I guess I am CEO of my company, so I can say if I want. But there you go. One of the cool things you said about the forex, we're actually going to probably later in the year including more forex in the foundation class as well. So as a good thing for people who are new to the market as well, and we're also working on having a more expanded forex part of it too. But again, you don't have to, do you? That's the beautiful thing. If you've got the situation, if you're getting the consistency in something, great. And I think this is what I think people, where they go wrong, they put all their eggs in one basket. And now I was talking to Graham Spruce, one of our instructors earlier on, Coach Graham and I were chatting, and he's like, he only got into options this last year. I only became really active in options this last couple of years. I love the futures market. I'm never going to stop being a futures trader. I can tell you that right now. It's what I do. It's in my DNA. But man, I love also being in options, because with me, I'm down there and I have my half-hour to 1 hour windows where I trade my futures in and out and done. And with the options, I can be like, oh, it looked like that move's already started, but there's still profit. I can get into it. And it's nice.
Yeah.
That seems like what you like. You like the relaxed life, right?
I definitely like the relaxed life. The older I get, it's like, you know what? I don't need that stress.
Yeah.
Just chill. I'm going to make what I need to make in a day or whatever.
So are you also doing some short-term moves on the options as well as the long-term moves? Have you got a preferred style, or do you just follow what the chart's telling you, Barbara?
I'm finding more and more that I'm probably better with the longer-term options. Definitely. Getting in and getting out. And I've done it a couple times, like on Tesla. I mean, I love trading Tesla because you can get in and get out on that. But then what's funny is afterwards, I sit there, my heart's beating like really, really hard. And I'm like, like in panic mode. It's like, I can't believe I just did that. It stressed me out so much. So I don't know, hopefully with time, I'll get better at that, because I do like getting in, making money, getting out,
Wonderful.
But I also am kind of like, like gold, sat in it. I just stayed in it. I was good. I listened, and it's like, okay, making money in this now, so we'll chill for a while and see where it goes.
Awesome. That's a great way to be. Hey, lots of great comments on the show here as well. Dana getting shout outs. So Dana just said hi, Barbara, to you on here. Coach Graham's watching right now. Joseph Solanas, I hate those trend boxes. Oh, tell me about it. Those trend boxes. Never quite understood that. And I wrote half that curriculum in the early days as well. But yeah, I completely agree with you in that one as well. Shout out to Lisa Mann, Francis as well. Ed, a lot of you guys, keep the comments coming. It's great when we got the interaction going on here as well. Listen, in the interest of time, you've definitely streamlined it by, let's summarize this, taking options and giving yourself more room to work. I'm a big believer in the less is more mantra. That's something I'm really big into as well. So that's definitely been a big part of this for you. But also, I think being a little bit more hands off as well is being key. What tips? And again, I know you're, and I can't thank you enough for the how much you praise us and how we've helped you. But to anyone listening right now, is at that thing of just, I need to. I'm not getting the progress I want to, all right? Because you seem to have a confidence about you and an excitement, and that to me, by the way, is everything when I see a real change in people. I've probably taught over 70,000 people in my career, a lot of people, online or in person. And then you see there's a flip when it becomes like a lot of people when they're struggling in the markets, there's this intensity and stress to them all the time about it. And they're like, and then suddenly they turn a corner and they cross over a hurdle. And they just have more of a relaxedness about them. And it's like, hey, yeah, this is enjoyable. And people go, oh, don't bring emotion into it. But it kind of becomes fun. Because in the reality of it, it's kind of fun sitting at home making money, right? it's
Oh,
kind of fun.
absolutely.
It's kind of fun knowing that the world could literally fall off the edge of a cliff financially and you could still be okay and make money out of it. Because, like, look, I want the
Absolutely.
best for you. You say you got your grooming store and everything. I'm sure you've seen ups and downs, booming economies, busting economies. You say it's 15 years or so, I believe you said, off of there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
50, yeah.
it affects everything, but the markets are just always there. And, you know, it's an amazing thing, isn't it? So, I think it's okay for it to be fun as long as you respect the market and realize you're never going to be bigger than the market. Your rules and plan have to be bigger than you, and you have to take your emotion out of it. So I love that, seeing that relaxedness about you, Barbara. For me, I can smell it on somebody almost, from 100 yards when they're, they're
Yep.
turning a corner. What advice would you give to somebody who's kind of been in that struggle right now, of what they need to do, what's, really just been, what could have the biggest impact on them in the short term? Apart from joining StockAbility, I'm talking about,
Yeah.
obviously.
Well, then, first of all, join StockAbility for
Okay.
sure. For me, here's what worked. I'm a list person. So every morning I get up and I make a list, a to-do list. And when you first get into this, there's a million things just bombarding you. I got to learn the trades. I got to learn the time frames. I need to learn how to even work the platform. So I just make a list of those things that are most important to me in that day. I took Foundation Abilities 3 times. And the funny thing is, the third time I signed up for it, and then you get in there and I'm like, oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm really dumb because I've been in this class 3 times. And then I was like, I don't care what people think that I've been in this class 3 times. And then when you have people start actually coming to you and asking you questions and you can answer them, it's like the best feeling in the world. I think just focus on what you need, and don't even worry about what anybody else thinks about what you're doing. To-do list is really big for me. I just, I have to go back over Daniel's GTS, or his spotlight that he did yesterday, because he talks about the longer term trades. And I just write down everything that's said. I print pictures, I study, and I just keep it simple for me. It's hard to do when you're bombarded with everything, though, because it's so much stuff in the beginning, and you've got to just learn this today, learn that tomorrow, learn this next week, and just keep yourself, like I said, on a to-do list. That's what's always worked for me.
I would also say, just don't put too much pressure on yourself. You seem like you're laser
Oh,
focused.
laser
Focused on one thing at a time. And, again, listen to Neil. I've taught many men and women who've been in the forces, in the service to their country, all around the world in different, different roles. Okay. And most of them have done well because they're used to that compartmentalizing, that discipline, flicking the switch and doing it as well, and lists, it's a great thing. It really, really is a really, really good thing. Ed Shauna Hesse is just saying, super helpful. Thank you, Barbara. I really needed to hear that today as well. You're earning an impact on here as well. It's great. Bob Pellegrin, join the club. I've lost count of how many times I've taken the classes. Always pick up something new. The learning never... You and me too, Bob. The market's always teaching me a lesson, and, today, tomorrow, I don't know what the lesson will be, but the reality of it is, just be open. I always say this, don't have a full cup, have an empty cup, because if the cup's already full, it's just going to spill. You always want to have an empty cup. Be prepared to take a little bit more. So we do a little thank you, Barbara, sincerely as well. It's just really encouraging. It's really exciting to see and hear as well, and we're grateful to it. But it wouldn't be a Take Stock Live if we didn't do your call, my put. So we do need to take a look, and I know you prepared something for us as well. So what are you taking today? I am a gentleman, so I'm definitely a gentleman. So I always like to give, my guest the call of what they would like to do or what they would like to do. So are you bullish on your call or are you bearish on my put?
I am bullish on my call.
Bullish on your call. And what are we looking at today then?
Facebook.
I have some real issues with Facebook. I say I stay away from it. I always want to. Well, I stay away from it, but I always want to short it. I don't know if that's something inherent that I have. You know, because thanks
wow.
to Facebook, I get to do this show, so that's really good. Let me go clear off all of this drawing that I've got on here, and just make this all nice and clean. So let's just clear all my drawing on here, so we have it. And let's talk Facebook on here as well. Okay, and I got another few comments for you that I want to read out in just a second as well. What are we thinking? You want a bullish? What's your expectations on here? I see we're getting a nice little pullback on the market at the moment. Let's go over to the daily chart. So, would you have another time frame in mind you'd like to look at here?
Nope, daily's good. I was looking at my trades on a
Okay, cool.
4 hour, but daily's good. I actually had two waiting on two. One was a 50 charge
Okay.
on the 4 hour, but then I've also got my continuation set up.
Nice.
Because it did not go, it barely touched the 50.
Yeah.
Didn't go into it, so I'm not gonna jump in it and freak out and be like, gotta get in.
So
we don't do that.
Yeah, so we're looking on that charge routine now. So we probably need a little bit more of a deeper pullback on this to get that charge trade, right? So
Yes,
you're still waiting on that a little bit lower. I really like this in this region here. If I kind of, I'm expecting on here, we've got this nice move up here. I'm expecting this could go a little deeper and then get that pullback. Okay. I keep eyeballing and looking at this whole region here around $300. That's the ideal entry, but I'm cheap, Barbara. I've been known to be a little bit cheap about things. So what do you think about a little bit of a pullback in that area there? Would that be lined up with your analysis on this?
That's exactly where I'm sitting. Exactly. You are spot on.
There you go. Hey, and you know why? Because I know the strategies that you're using. That's the great thing when you're the great minds. And I still think, on here we could get a little bit of a pullback down to there. And I think it's definitely worth waiting on at the moment on there. But absolutely. So that's on the daily chart. But also I was expecting this earlier this week. We were looking at this in the class. And let me just kind of wipe some of this off. But we were also expecting, a continuation to the upside on here as well, as this is breaking out, but we've not had that positive close. I got to say, if we do get a close above this 315 area, which we've been waiting for, I'd be willing to take it for another ride to the upside for another probably $10, $15 on that. What about, is that the continuation you're talking about here?
That's exactly it. Yep. Yeah. Right there.
Nice. Yep. I mean, here's the thing though, right? I know in previous education that you've had, you'd have been told that buying high is not a good thing to do. Yeah, it seems you like to buy high as well now.
I do. I like to buy high and I like to sell higher.
There you go. And what's even better about that is, and I've always said this, right? I love to buy low. I love to sell high. But sometimes you've got to buy high to sell higher or sell low to sell lower, right? You can't be too rigid. I think that comes back to what we were talking about before, about having a little bit of an intuition, or at least kind of going with the ebb and the flow of the market. Would that be kind of, the if this then that? Because people get really stuck on an idea. Well, I'm not going to buy it unless it, is this. And it goes off without them and they sit and watch it go. And they could have maybe got into it. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's so true. And that was my whole previous education. I mean, that's what I would do. And then I just sit there and get frustrated.
Click buttons.
Yeah.
Get frustrated, click buttons, and then get it handed to you, right? That's always what used to happen to me a little bit as well, Barbara.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you've got to adapt. You do have to adapt on here for sure. Let's go back over. So, all right, so we're bullish on Facebook. Now, did you also say that you had a setup on GLD as well, which is the gold ETF? If we got time, we can look at it.
Sweet. Yeah, I am currently in gold. I actually sold one of my calls this morning and I stayed in one.
Oh, look at this. So you sold one. You're on the right side of that for that pop today. So
yeah. I sold it about 15 minutes into the open.
Nice.
And I kept a runner. So, and I'm still in that one. And I started looking at the 15-minute candles and then Daniel in the side of my head, so I just walked away.
15-minute charts, right?
I just walked away.
That is motored. I mean, we've been we've been bullish on gold in our sessions lately as well. I mean, in fact, if I kind of zoom in, I'm going to look at this here. Let me just, this is the top left chart for anybody looking here. This here is a monthly chart that I'm looking at here. So I'm going to just zoom in so you can see it. But to me, the uptrend on gold is still in play. And this is the area for me. I've been looking at this a lot. This 160 area, I think there's upside on it still. I look at this chart and I can see nothing but the potential to rally on this. And the way things are going, I'm going to go out on a limb right now and I'm going to give a long-term target on this because I actually like this setup as well, Barbara. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to be looking at around this point here. and I'm going to say 175 for me. The fact if we can stay above this area here, stay above this one, let's call it 160. Let's just mark it off here. If we can stay above this 163 area, I don't see any reason why. We're probably going to hit about 175 on that in the coming days, or at least later on this month, maybe. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was exactly my thoughts, getting above that 163. And I thought we were there yesterday, and then it just went back down, and it's so frustrating. So, but today,
that happens.
Great
I'm
open.
Give you another target there as well, like an interim target. Look, there they are, 63. So staying above 63, 68.50 would be my, let's call it 168, okay, would be my near term on that one on there. So there's your first one, and then the next target is 175. I think taking profit on some of it now, because obviously you have to factor in the time decay to a degree on this as well. Right. So taking out some of that, which is good, as you know, a very, very good thing. But yeah, I mean, good luck with that. So you're probably riding high on that. You've already made some money on it. You're just out there now seeing if you can get a little bit extra. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yes.
That's a nice position to be in, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's my favorite one. I'm a kind of an all in, all out kind of guy when I trade, but you know, at the end of the day, on my longer term trades, absolutely, I'm all about letting those things breathe as well. So that's awesome on this. One of the other ones, I might just check on this. I haven't really looked at it since. Yeah, I'm on this one. This one's been a bit of a disappointment. I had a trade on Disney that I was looking at. I'm still not written it off. We had a great day yesterday, but Disney's just fallen down a little bit today. I'm in a long-term play on this right now as well. So this is one of my ones. I have nothing but faith in Disney long-term on here, but I had a lovely pop on it yesterday, but it's given a chunk of it back. It's just one of those things. Yeah, you just have to accept that in the trading world. You know, sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't, but I still remain bullish on that one. That's one I'm keeping an eye on at the moment. But let's look at what am I bearish on. I was chatting with you just before the session start, and Tesla, I still think that this thing's in for a little bit of a rude awakening. I gotta say it.
I know
you've had some good trades on Tesla, but what I'm concerned about right now is just that we had this last push, you know, off of this area here, and I just think there's a ton of selling pressure, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it pop a little bit higher. But I want to look more over to here to this chart on this side, and this is this monthly chart. Let me zoom in here. And I just see a ton of wide open space. Let me just go back on here. Ton of wide open space on Tesla down to about this $400 mark. And I just feel that, you know, that concerns me. You know, it concerns me. And also, you know, every time we have a bit of a recovery, we push back. We just closed up a nice little gap here on this as well, on this particular chart. So short term, there's a lot of unfilled gaps, but I'm going to just say this. I'm going to be very conservative about it, but I wouldn't be wanting to do anything on a short-term play till down to about 700 on this at the moment. That's what I'm looking for. So in the meantime on here, I would not be surprised to see how the Tesla to the downside on here to about 700. And again, as a short-term play on here, to me, it just feels overdone. I don't know what it is. You know, you sometimes just look at things for a very long time, but that's what I'm expecting on here. Your recent play you had on Tesla was on the upside, right? You got a lot of this move here, I believe. When was that?
Yes.
Or was that earlier this week, was it? You had that move on there. That was actually on Monday.
Yeah, what is Thursday? It was Tuesday morning, I believe.
Yeah, Monday or Tuesday morning.
We got into it, yeah.
Very strong.
And I got out at, you know, and Daniel said 730, 740's target to get out. I got out at 727 because I watched the candles. And so, yeah, I left a lot of money on the table.
But you got, look, you're still in the early part of it. I'm going to say to you, 2018 was when you started. This is still this is the journey, you know. And yeah, you'll go through phases of it. Like, you know, like I say, some days, you know, it feels like everything you do is right. You can't go wrong. And then other days, it feels like the other way. You can't take it personally. And that's something I think that, you know, everybody has to understand. It's not personal, right? It just is what it is. And I think we have this ideal world of how it should be. So, but I like those calls. So gold riding high, you know, you haven't left anything on the table there. You still got a little bit exposed on it. Facebook patiently waiting on here. Tesla, I think there'll be more opportunity. But yeah, my call on Tesla is I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit more downside on that particular market over the coming weeks as well. Wow. Well, here we go. I said we'd be about 45 minutes, but we are an hour because it always happens. I got to start saying to everybody, this is a 1 hour show.
Yeah, right. I know time goes so fast. Wow.
We always go. Now, we have our one-day event on enhancing your performance, which is open to the public. and I'm going to be talking about it just before I go as well on April 28th. I hope a lot of the StockAbility students are going to be around that day enjoying it. We've got something for everybody on there. We're actually going to have some time with performance coaches, setting up as a business, and some very special things as well. You'll be joining us and around on that particular day, Barbara?
Absolutely, Sam. And I've actually sent information to a lot of my nieces and nephews, cousins who they're early 20s.
Yep.
They don't want to do the 9 to 5, 40-year grind. I mean, they just, and they see what I'm doing and they're like, teach me. And I'm like, you don't want me teaching you, I'll send you to the school. I'm not going to teach you, but I will send you to the school. So yes, lots of people that I've been telling about this, and I for sure will be there.
Wonderful. Well, I'm sure a lot of the people there would love to talk to you more as well. It has been inspirational as well. I'm going to just read out a couple of the fonts. Amit was just saying, Barbara, what an inspirational story. Thank you so much for sharing your journey as well. Ed Shaughnessy, super helpful. Thank you, Barbara. I really need to hear that today as well. Just one thing, Rob Peregrine, thank you, Barbara. This has been great. A lot of positive things, and it's great. And I said, I get people on the show and I love having the guests on the show, but there's nothing better than actually having somebody who's really living it and doing it right now. That means, that to me is the most real and raw kind of version of it you can get. So it's a wonderful thing. Barbara, I'm going to let you get on with your day. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule. And if you want to hang on mute yourself and hang on the Zoom call, I'll connect with you after as well. But thank you on behalf of Take Stock Live and StockAbility. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Barbara Raben on here, joining us from Nebraska on the show today as well. And, just absolutely so good to have somebody, who's living her dream, and doing this and got her goals. And I will just say this right now. Anyone struggling with this, anybody just really thinking about doing this, understand why you're doing it. And it's not about being cheesy and all that. It's about being real. Most people I meet, it's not about the money. It's about the freedom. It's about the security. It's about just having, choices. Let's face it. Let's just having choices and stuff. Because the best things in life, they come for free. And having freedom, freedom should be free. Free to do the things that we want to do. Live our life the way we want to do it. And it's so great to see somebody living that, walking that walk, and talking that talk right now as well. I just mentioned on the show that we are actually having a special one-day event. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a moment to share the details of that with you, so you can all see that as well. And if you are brand new to StockAbility as well, over on the website, we have made some new adjustments on here as well. So if you want to go over to the to the company, go over to stockability.com. There's our website. You can actually now go to our free webinar. You can actually register for our free webinar, and I have a free on-demand webinar now as well, which you can watch in your own time, as well as live webinars. We do a little bit of everything on here. Let's just go full screen on here so you can see it. But you'll be able to click on this register for a free webinar, and you can see all about that. If I scroll down to the bottom of the screen as well, you can see our Trustpilot reviews all building up right now, which is really, really cool. And this is what we've got coming up on here as well, which we are super excited about. The first one is going to be actually this coming Tuesday, April 20th at 12 p.m. Eastern, a complimentary webinar, which is a live webinar, trading from side hustle to full-time income. That's going to be with me, with yours truly. Usually these webinars go for about 45 minutes to an hour. We keep them short, sweet, and to the point. If you do the on-demand webinar, that is a couple of hours that you can do in your own pace as well. The next one we've got coming up after that, my friends, is this one here. And what we were just talking about with Barbara is our special one-day event. Let me zoom in on here. Enhancing your trading and investing performance. Wednesday, April 28th. It's an all-day affair, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time. We have got a ton of different guests on the show. Okay, talking about performance, enhancing your retirement, building systems for income, actual psychologists, performance coaches, and also business experts on here about how to take your trading and investing and start really treating this the way it should be, with the love, the care, and the attention to really enhance that performance every step of the way. All of the StockAbility coaches will be on there as well, happy to answer your questions. You're even going to get a sneak peek at what we do in our live guided trade sessions as well with the great Ryan Watkins. And then we are in another complimentary webinar a few weeks after that, which is trading webinar on can you afford to retire as well, which is looking at the longer term aspect of this and building up for a safe and happy retirement too. So a lot of exciting things going on at stockability.com, but also feel free to register for any of those webinars by going to the top little button on here as well. Really exciting times for us, really exciting times for our students, and hopefully really exciting times for you as well. My name is Sam Evans. This has been Take Stock Live, brought to you by StockAbility.com. Thank you, every single one of you, for your kind comments, well wishes. Thank you to Barbara Raben for everything she did on the show as well, and sharing her vision and her journey as well with you guys at home as well. It's nothing like having live comments coming in real time, so thank you for that, guys. And if you are looking at the recording of this right now, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to do so. We love having you as a viewer of the show. Remember, we're here every week on Thursday at 12 noon Eastern time on Facebook Live. You can look at all the recordings on the StockAbility Facebook page, or if you like surfing the waves of YouTube, you can go there and you can check out the StockAbility YouTube page, where all of the previous shows are on there as well, and bonus lessons from myself, Ryan, Dan, and the rest of the team as well. We keep giving you content, you keep asking for it, we're not going anywhere, we love sharing what we do. My name's Sam Evans, this has been Take Stock Live, April 15th, just after 1 p.m. Have a great rest of your week, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you all guys next week at the same time. Have a good one. Thank you.